Hello and welcome to this course. In this course, we will learn how to create a simple glitch intro in Adobe After Effects. Glitch effects is one of the popular effects in After Effects, and there are many ways to achieve it. At first, we will animate the text using the animate menu, and then we will add effects in order to complete our intro. In this course, we will learn about effects and preset tab in After Effects, as well as we'll learn few handy effects. This course is simple and basic. However, it requires you to have understanding on how to animate a text using the animate menu. For the class project, students can animate a logo or a text and add a glitch effect into it. Welcome to this course. Let's start. Okay, we are inside of Adobe After Effects, and in our first video, we will create our text. So I am going to create a new composition by clicking in here, and I'm going to call it Skillshare. I am going to set the width on 9020 and the height on 1080, and I am going to leave the frame rate on 24 frames per second, and then I'm going to click on OK. Now I'm going to select the type tool. Right now the font is set on Open Sans, which is good. And the font size is on 150, which is also good. So I am going to type Skillshare. Now let's go towards the selection tool, and then let's move the Skillshare text towards the middle in Align tab. Now let's animate it by clicking on this tiny arrow in here. And then in Animate, let's choose a position for our text. Note that you can animate your text however you like. So in order to animate it, first I'm going to set the Y value on 150. And then in the range selector, I'm going to set the offset value into -100. And then I'm going to set a keyframe on it. And now I will move my time indicator on 1 second. And then I'm going to set the offset value on 100 again. And it is something like this, which is really ugly, right? Now, to make it a bit better, I'm going towards the advanced menu, and then I'm gonna change the shape type from square to ramp up. Now, as you see, it is still slow and awful. Well, now we can fix it by increasing the ease high value in here. If I increase it to something like 50%, as you notice, the end of our animation became faster. If I increase it to 75%, this time it is much smoother at the end. And I will also fix the beginning of it by increasing the ease low value to 50%. Now it looks much better. So let's close all of our panels and let's add a skew property for our text. Now on Animator 2, I'm going to skew it to something like 30%. And now if I go towards the range selector, I can animate them using the offset value. So I will move my time indicator to 12 frames, and then I'm going to set a keyframe on it. And then on 1 second, I'm going to set the offset value towards 100 again. I'm going to apply the same easing in advanced menu. Let's set the ease high on 75% and let's set the ease low on 50. Good. Okay, so here's our text, and now let's move on how we can add a glitch effect to it. Alright, now it is time to create a glitch effect for our animation. Before we add glitch, first we need to hide our text, and we can do that by creating a mask and changing the track matte channel. So let's create a rectangle in here, and I am going to rename it to mask. And I'm going to hide the text inside of this box. To do that, first we need to open the track map channel, which I'm going to do it by clicking on this icon in here. And then I'm going to set the track map channel on alpha invert. Okay, as you see, we need to adjust our mask. So I'm going to move the mask down by pressing Shift plus down arrow key on my keyboard. Alright, now in order to create a glitch effect, we need to add few effects to our animation. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a noise for my background. Now let's right click in empty space in here, and in new section let's click on solid and let's choose a dark color for it. Okay, now let's move it beneath the Skillshare text and let's rename it to background. And now let's open our effects and preset tab by going into window panel. But there is a better plugin to do that. You can download VFX Console by Video Copilot, and it's completely free and it saves you a lot of time. And this is not a sponsored video or anything, it's just my personal opinion. Either way, let's create a new solid layer by pressing Ctrl plus Y, and let's give it a bright color this time, and let's call it noise. And let's change its color to something like orange. And now let's add a CC Starburst effect. Now either you can add it in your effects and preset tab, or if you have downloaded the VFX console, you can just press Ctrl plus space and add a CC Starburst. Okay, so basically this effect gives you spheres based on your background, which in our case our background is kind of white. So if I increase the scatter number to 1000, we will have less spheres. And also we are going to increase its speed. And however, I'm going to decrease its size to something like 45. Still, it looks really fast, so I'm going to add a post-rise time effect. Right now, it means that this effect is going to generate itself every 24 frames. So I'm going to decrease it to 8 frames. Alright, cool. Now let's go to the next effect. Okay, so far we have this animation. Now in this video I'm going to stylize Skillshare text a bit more. So let's duplicate the Skillshare and mask layer by pressing Ctrl plus D. And let's put the mask above the Skillshare 2 text in order to correct everything. And let's rename the Skillshare 2 to Skillshare Stroke, and let's give them another color. Alright. Now let's move these two layers beneath the Skillshare in order to make them work. And I'm gonna go towards my character panel and I'm going to remove the fill for this layer by clicking on no fill color icon in here. And now let's offset them a bit in here. So as you see, we have something like this, and we can make it better by repeating the strokes by adding a echo effect. So basically the echo effect combines frames from different times in a layer. So let's increase the number of echoes to 10. And let's decrease the decay to something like 0.7. Alright, good. Now let's go towards the next effect. Alright, now in this video we are going to cover a few more effects. So to start, first we will need an adjustment layer. So let's right click on empty space and on New, let's click on Adjustment Layer. An adjustment layer is basically an empty layer where if you apply anything to it, it applies it to the layers beneath it. So right now I'm going to trim the beginning and the end of the adjustment layer, so in that way it only affects few frames of our animation. Now let's add an invert effect. Well, the invert effect is simple. It's going to invert the colors of your layer. So right now it changed the text from white to black and the black background to white. Alright, so let's decrease the adjustment length a bit. Okay, now this is good. Now let's rename it to glitch 1 and let's duplicate it. And move it in here. Now let's add a CC hex tile effect. So basically hex tile is a tile effect. The tile effect lets you create repeating pattern from a layer and includes options for setting vertical and horizontal offsets to the pattern. So basically you have a hexagon pattern effect. So if I increase the radius to 200, you will have a patterns like this. But you can have more freedom on controlling it by adding a transform effect. So this effect is basically the same as the transform panel from a layer. So I am going to, for example, set the scale on 50% in order to reduce the edges. It is really up to you how you want to approach your animation. And one important thing to mention is that the layer order in your effects control tab matters. So for example, if I move the transform panel up, now After Effects is going to apply the transform effect first, and then it goes towards the CC hex tile. And there is one more effect that can become handy, and it's CC Composite. CC Composite is a quick and easy way to composite your original layer over your added effects. So let's move CC Composite to here. And now you can decrease the scale to create more gaps. But I rather to leave it on 50%. Alright, good. Now let's go towards the last video. Okay, so now let's finish our project. First, let's duplicate the glitch 2 layer and let's move it in here. And this time let's delete the hex tile effect and add a CC tiler effect. As you see, nothing happened, even if you move it up. It's because we need to reduce the scale to see the effect. Now, as you see, we have copies of our Skillshare text, so I am going to adjust it. Don't forget, you can add any effect you like. For example, we can add an invert effect again. But I like the way my animation is without the invert effect. So let's press Ctrl+Z to redo it. Now we can add a glitch effect simply by adding a VR digital glitch. So let's delete all of our effects for this layer. And now let's add a digital glitch effect to it. As you see, we can change the horizontal or vertical field of view to get a different result. Or you can change the frame layout for different results as well. Now on distortion tab, you can increase the value to get a RGB like color, or you can decrease it to get a black and white effect. Right now I'm going to set it on 50 and I'm going to drag the handles towards the left side. Now let's duplicate the glitch 4 one more time and let's move it in here. And let's increase its length a bit. And now this time let's go towards the distortion and let's bring back the color distort all the way down to 0. And we can add a noise to it by going towards the noise panel and increasing the noise strength. So let's watch. Alright, we need to offset our adjustment layers a bit. Okay, so here's our final result.